What's up, everybody? Sorry for my weird absence in recent days. I'm just recovering from a unexpected cold, but I'm feeling a little bit better today. But I want to make sure I wrap up knowing the last week. I'm going to get it out the way right now. The last week of Christmas movie reviews for the end of December. They'll be relatively quick, so I can blaze right through them. I also later on going to be going through, because I probably won't have enough time in the next couple of days. I'm going to go through all my best and worst movies and TV shows and video games that I've experienced through 2025. So it's gonna be like a very full evening, so I'm gonna hop right into it. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Leave a comment below. Let me know what you guys think, because I am gonna start off with something I put on the list for December 2 years ago, actually, to be completely honest with you, but haven't really gotten around to it, and I figured I'll do it now. And probably because I always wanted to save it for the last week of December anyway, because the holidays wrapped up and it's still kind of wintry, so I still got the wintry vibe going on. I wanted to cover the 1995 film Balto, and I remember this was first airing on Cartoon Network during like one of those kind of like the Flintstones Christmas Carol, that little movie block thing they usually have on like Fridays and Saturdays. And I remember checking it out. They had two direct DVD sequels, which I don't remember how the plot went, but I just know inherently they suck. I just can't remember it because it's been so long. But you just know, it's like a lingering after effect kind of thing. It's like, you just don't want to waste your time. But I thought it'd be fun to revisit the first film, which didn't do well theatrically, although when it went to video, I think it had like a bit of a following. Not too crazy, but there's plenty of fondness for the first Balto movie. This was directed by Simon Wells. I completely did not even notice that this Balto was voiced by Kevin Bacon. We got Bob Hoskins as the Russian snow goose Boris. Bridget Fonda as the Siberian husky Jenna. Jim Cummings as the Alaska Malamute Steele. Phil Collins plays two polar bears named Muck and Luck. Juliette Brewer plays Rosie, the little girl in the film. Jack Angel as Jack Angel, Danny Mann, and Robbie Rist as Nikki, Caltech, and Star, respectively. The little other sled dogs. Excuse me, I'm still got a bit of stuffiness, but bear with me. Sorry. Like I said, still stuffy. Anyway, the movie begins weirdly because I completely forgot about this. It started off in live action where this old woman taking her granddaughter and the little husky dog to New York Central Park, and where she regales the little girl with the story what happened in 1925, which is based on a true story of this wolf dog named Balto, uh, who helped save an entire town in Alaska from falling ill, or at least a bunch of kids falling ill to a disease. So then we just transition to animation. Could just now this is completely the up to the directors and everything like that, their choice. But I think they could have just went with the 2D animation all the way through, just to keep some level of consistency. No, this is well, I say that, but you got something like the Page Master, which you could still make the whole live action 2D thing work in tandem. It doesn't feel jarring. But I think in Page Master, there was a point to it for that transition. While here, it's not really a point to it, where you can just maintain 2D all the way through. But that's just me. So, um, uh, uh, we see the local sled dogs, racing, and one of them being led by Steel, who is just one angry, just. I mean, it's not a bad thing, because man, I wish I had villains like this in movies, especially animated films nowadays, because everybody trying to make you sympathize with a villain. You can't just let a bad guy be a bad guy. But man, Steel was so much a bad guy, which I pretty much respect. Like I said, you look at villains nowadays in most movies in recent years, it's just trying to sympathize with the bad guy and excuse certain behaviors because, like, oh, woe is me, I wasn't loved as a kid. Crap. Sometimes people are dicks, and Steel is just one big dick.
Phrasing?
And he just consistently angry and just gotta, there's a glittery hound, pun intended, and just, so self-absorbed and just doesn't care for anybody upstaging him whatsoever. And he doesn't like Balto because he seems like he can, probably just because he's just more of a nicer dog, and he just naturally gets respect from other dogs. Well, not everybody, because he's kind of ostracized a bit, for the most part, because of he's half dog, half wolf. So he doesn't really get much respect. People looked at him like, oh, he got, well, in real life, there is always that kind of thing. I'm not a big dog person. I'm not a vet, so I don't know through and through. But I think that's normally the fear in most people. I mean, if you're a vet at all or know anything, you can correct me. But I think that is normally people's fear that mixed breed dogs, especially if you mix with like a wolf, that part of them kind of ekes on through, and it doesn't make good companions in the long run. Maybe it just depends on how you train them. I'm not sure. But people freak out and don't really want to be anywhere near Balto, except for Jenna and her owner, Rosie, the little girl, I'm about to say little girl of the town, but it's plenty of little kids, but she is the owner of Jenna, who's smitten with Balto. And um, of course, still is making him feel Balto feel small and insecure about his wolf heritage because he has bigger paws than compared to the other dogs. Uh, we also know about we see this goose who's pretty much like a father figure to Balto, and you got like these two polar bear pals. So they live, on the outskirts of the town, just like a few miles away from the town, in this kind of like abandoned boat area. And uh, 1 second. Then not only, man, Mother Nature is a bitch in this movie. Not only there's hazardous blizzard coming down, but also coincidentally there was an there started a there started and there's an outbreak starting. I can't get my sentence a proper sentence correctly. There's an outbreak of diphtheria, might pronounce that correctly, that is overwhelming the town, primarily the children. And crap gets real when the local carpenter is making little tiny little coffins for potential child deaths. It's like, holy crap. This is back when they didn't coddle kids. They treat kids like freaking adults. They didn't vocalize it. They didn't need to. You can just insinuate by the tiny coffins. Most children know what a coffin is. And they can just use context clues. They didn't really have to spell it out. When I was a kid, it was definitely striking. Probably not the first time that I seen like something like that in a film, especially like an animated one. But maybe an animated one. But it's definitely like a something that wasn't like not in a joking matter at all. Anyway, Rosie is one of the first inflicted. So the town tries to send out word because they out in Nome, Alaska, and they try to send out word further out, try to get some medicine. They tried to go by boat, but the oceans was too rocky, and like I said, the weather was coming down crazy, so it's too hazardous to go by boat. Too hazardous to go by air. Pretty should have picked up on that by the snow coming down so harshly, so you shouldn't even been bothered with that. So they decided to go by the train. They pretty much looks like the freaking Polar Express, but it only can go so far. But it was still close enough, so they decided to take it to one end. Where was it? Ninana. Yeah, Ninana is in also. This all of this is focused on in Alaska, so that's about as far as the train can take it, because that's where the rail line ends. So that's the closest town from Nome, Alaska. So the town holds this little competition to find like the fastest dogs, the fastest sled dogs, and of course Balto wants to help because he cares for Rosie as well as Jenna. Uh, so he wants to do everything he can to help. So he just inserts himself into the race, and despite the other dogs, you know, screwing him up, he still managed to finish ahead of everybody, including Steel, who's supposed to be like the fastest sled dog. Um, uh, of course, Steel, being a complete prick, stomps on his paw, causing him to howl, uh, uh, which I don't understand why the humans did not see this. It was right in front of your freaking face that the dog stepped on his other dog's paw, but they just assume, oh, he's a wolf. They're always going to be a wolf. Blah blah blah. So I can't trust it. So they decided to go with like pretty much the same sled dogs you saw win in the you know the earlier race at the beginning of the film, which makes the entire competition pointless if he's gonna go with the same set of dogs as you had earlier. Unless I missed something, I'm pretty sure it's the same doggone dogs. So the sled dogs make their way to the Nana and pick up the medicine, and they hurry their way back to where they once they came to get back to Nome to deliver the medicine. Sorry, the halls trying to chew it up so it won't be sloshing in my freaking mouth. So, and by the way, pardon me, because I know that was probably rude. I normally don't try to talk with my mouth with anything. But like I said, I was trying to do all I can to make sure that I am prepped and ready and focused without my sickness disrupting everything. Anyway, they're trying to make their way back, but the weather conditions is kept on piling on, which causes Steel to lose his way, and now I'm pretty sure there are zoologists or pet experts or dog experts who can correct me on this, but despite the blizzard messing up the dogs, or at least partially messing up their vision, they still have their sense of smell, which is highly acute. Matter of fact, no. I want to look this up right now because, like, I don't buy. Okay, let's look this up. I'm super curious because I know this is an animated film, but I call BS on this. Let's go with sled dogs to be specific. Okay, can sled dogs smell through a blizzard? Yes, sled dogs can smell through blizzards, often relying on their powerful noses to stay on trail, but it's complex. Fresh snow can trap scents, aiding tracking, while heavy wind and falling snow make it harder by scattering or bearing smells, forcing lead dogs to use a combination of scent, memory, and instinct to navigate challenging conditions, like famous Balto run. Scent trapping, cold Moist snow acts like a sponge holding scent particles like urine, sweat, and skin cells that might otherwise dissipate in warm, dry air, making them more detectable for dogs. Scent diffusion. Body odors diffuse through snow, allowing avalanche dogs and sled dogs to find buried victims or trails. Noisy versus quiet air. Cold air has fewer background smells than warm air, which can make it easier for a dog's sensitive nose to isolate specific trail scent. Wind and falling snow. Heavy winds and thick falling snow can physically blow scents away or bury them deep, making it difficult for even experienced dogs to follow. Ultra sense. Snow can change how familiar smells present themselves. Okay. At least lead dogs like Balto and Fox use a blend of incredible scenting ability, memory, and innate instinct to find the trail even when mushers can't see. Okay, so sure, a blizzard can kind of mess up the tracking sense a bit, but like I said here, it's like the instinct and memory. So I'm willing to go that I'm still calling it BS. It's like, yeah, experienced sled dogs like supposedly Steel shouldn't have, or at least any one of them dogs, especially Steel, should not have that much trouble finding their way back onto the trail if it utilizes their smell memory. Let's go with smell memory. Even though the blizzard's coming down, it might kind of disrupt certain things a little bit. They should still, within maybe a few minutes, but eventually get back on that trail. So it's kind of like, I don't know. You can go either way with it, but I still call it BS that these supposedly experienced sled dogs will get lost like that. Anyway, but because they're taking too long, word gets out in homes. It's like, okay, they should have been on their way back because we got word that they left Nanana. So Balto takes it upon himself to go and find them and bring the medicine home. So Boris, Muck, and Tuck, go with him to keep an eye on him. And that's where, along the way, they get attacked by this big grizzly bear. And Balto tries to fight the thing off, but gets pinned. But Jenna, who was following them, comes in and clutch, attacks the bear. It brushes her off. So Balto leads the grizzly, which might as well be a black bear because that thing is like deep black. Leads the the grizzly bear into this frozen lake, which, because of its massive weight, it crashes through the ice and ends up drowning. Which, once again, I call kind of BS, but maybe because bears can swim to a degree. So it drowning is a little cap, although since it's a frozen lake and there's no like quick open spot for it to crawl out of, it ends up drowning. But I also want to point the fingers at Muck and Tuck, who eventually saves Balto from drowning himself. Because it finally put some use to these supposed comic relief characters, which, by the way, neither the goose nor these polar bears are funny at all. But why is these two polar bears not the first ones attacking this grizzly bear. Matter of fact, polar bears are probably one of the most dangerous, if not the dangerous, type of bear on the planet. It's not something you want to come across. Like, I think it's one of the known facts about polar bears is that if you come across one, it catches your scent, it will track you down for a very long time until it catches you. Because when it catches you, it's like when it catches your scent, it's trying to get you. It's one of the most dangerous type of bears out there. It's not a joke. Uh, 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 so I'm just finding weird that there are two polar bears, mind you. And sure, they're animated to be kind of like small, but clearly they're not babies. So, God, it's just like, why aren't you the first two to attack this thing? Not only is two against one, but you're, by laws of nature, you should be more of a threat to this other bear. That part was like kind of dumb to me. At least that's how I feel. I think I think it's kind of known that the polar bears are one of the most dangerous types of bears out there. But Jenna's got a little wounded, so she can't walk on one of her paws for the time being. So Balto requires Boris and the polar bears to take her back to town to heal up while he makes his way the rest of the way. He eventually finds Steele and the musher and the other dogs after Steele ends up panicking and ends up running the musher off the ice into not a ravine, but just like somewhere in a snowy banks below, where he's fallen unconscious. And now the dogs don't know what the heck to do, and they're looking at Steele, and Steele is like one of those kind of villains that it's kind of like Scar in a way. It's like, well, you in the position of leadership and you kind of crap in the bed right now. As much as you boasting about your skills, you know, it's kind of like a guy calling himself like, oh, I'm like this big man on campus. Okay, now it's time to show what you got, and now you're kind of panicking and looking all over the place and what to do. It's like a crazy thing. Balto shows up. Of course, Steele is not gonna want to have him get all the glory because he wants the glory. That's all he really cares about. So, despite Balto not fighting back, he trying to tussle with Balto, and Steele ends up snagging on the collar scarf that Jenna gave to him. It rips off and he falls over the cliff. Somehow survives, even though he hit a couple of rocks, or at least 4 rocks, I think, before he landed on the ground, which by laws of physics, that dog should be dead. As a matter of fact, that should have been the end of Steele. That should have been his Disney movie death. But no. Not only somehow he makes a throw. And by the way, Balto makes sure along the way he marks the trail on trees so he can help find his way back when he finds the team. Somehow, not only Steele makes it out of that further down the canyon, he beats everybody back to Nome, Alaska. And just to be an added asshole, he starts marking other trees along the way to confuse everybody. It's like, this dude does not care. It's like, holy crap, this dude is like a complete a-hole. But it's just like, how do you beat them all back? I mean, sure, you can follow the trail, I guess, but even still, that takes a minute. So he comes back, and like, no other human was keeping an eye out for the musher and the sled dogs. Still such a popular dog in this town. Human who's supposed to be probably keeping an eye on things just to, because they gotta be keeping an eye out for the musher because they need that medicine. Somebody's always gotta keep a watch out. If there was a human watching out and see the local sled dog still coming in by himself with no medicine or musher, word should have gotten around. But there's no indication of that. He just shows up, talks with the other dogs, and come up with a lame lie, talking about like, oh, Balto went crazy, and he tried to take the musher, the medicine, and he tried to take the glory from himself. But you know, there was a fight. He went crazy, and then I lost my musher and the other dogs and Balto. But he told me I should take care of you, Jenna. And of course, Jenna's not buying that bullshit. And, you know, it is bullshit. But everybody else is buying it but Jenna, which is freaking weird. While trying to make his way back, trying to follow the trail he left behind, he notices that almost every tree has been marked, realizing that, you know, he's been set up. So now he's confused, and he ends up crashing, trying to save the medicine, and falls, you know, over another ravine. And that's where he gets woken up by this white wolf, which pretty much he ends up recalling what Boris said to him about, you know, his wolf side, and he's like, okay, I gotta not be ashamed of who I am through and through. I'm both wolf and dog, and I'm not ashamed of either. So he embraces wolf side that helps him get through this snowy trek that most dogs could not do themselves, and not built for, at least for the most part of it. So he drags the crate full of medicine up the cliff, and which, by the way, like him and the other dogs somehow managed to get the musher tied down and snuggled onto the sled somehow. How do you do that with no opposable thumbs? I'm overthinking it, but I'm just saying it's kind of weird. Anyway, so utilizing finally his acute sense of smell, which y'all should have been doing for the longest time, it's like it should be second nature. It's like that should have been one of the first things you've been doing before your sight, pretty much. But he snipped out his own markings and followed those. And of course, not only dealing with avalanches and then canyon cave-ins. And did I mention this was also produced by Steven Spielberg? So you got a gratuitous E.T. Reference inside the canyon, which seems kind of hacky in my opinion. Didn't really need that. But I guess maybe Steven Spielberg wouldn't help produce this if he didn't get his little flex in. But Balto manages to make his way back to town, also with Jenna's help, who after learning from Balto, use these broken glass bottles and shine a light on them to create this pseudo aurora borealis to kind of shine in the night sky to kind of light Balto's way, kind of like the the North Star kind of thing. So, and this is kind of a weird thing, and I did not notice until mainly up until now because I didn't see this since I was like a little kid, but I didn't notice until now rewatching this because, like I said, Kevin Bacon voiced Balto, but after his fall and seeing that white wolf, there's no more lines coming from Kevin Bacon from out of Balto's mouth, and that was very weird. I don't know if it maybe was some kind of budget situation or something happened behind the scenes, where it's like he just stopped putting in his voice thing. Maybe I can look this up because I'm curious. Because that was very odd. Uh, is well, I looked this up. It says like how he voiced Balto from beginning to end, but no, that is maybe he still credited because he still technically did it, and maybe he did some, you know, reshoots of his lines. But the last few, at least a good 10 minutes. I'm not sure like the length of time between like when he bumped into that white wolf up until the uh, uh, the last shot of Balto. There was no lines. He did not say anything. Just because he was still credited, he did not say anything. That is just weird to me. It's like, okay, where was any dialogue? No final lines with Jenna at all. It was just like nothing but silence. Not even I'm pretty sure maybe it was a grunt or two, but no actual like dialogue. Uh, so the medicine was delivered. The children were safe. Rosie thanks Balto, and Balto and Jenna kind of doggy make out, and the town celebrates. Of course, this also alerts all the other dogs who've been like fawning over Steel, uh, turn on them quickly, which is not much of a comeuppance for Steel. Like I said, he's one of those kind of villains that should have gotten like a Disney level movie death, but I'm not sure. It should have. There wasn't like a bigger comeuppance that. It should have been a bigger comeuppance for that dog. Uh, Maybe hell, like the owner should have like, I don't know, sent him to the pound or something. Because when he would have gotten up, he would have probably remembered eventually, depending on how severe the concussion was. It's like, yeah, Steele was going out zigzagging all over the place. It's like, oh, it's not a good sled dog after all. He lost his step. Like, like I can't use him no more, kind of thing. Something. Anyway, we then transfer to the present day live action, where the grandmother and the granddaughter look upon the statue of Balto, and you learn that this the trail from Nenana to Nome, Alaska, inspired the Alaskan Iditarod race that is held in kind of like in its honor, from this epic journey to deliver this medicine. So Balto statue is honored, is in like a bronze statue in Central Park. And you learn that the grandmother is that little girl Rosie grown up, and she gives her thank you to Balto for looking out for her. You can't help but wonder, and I know she's supposed to be the narrator, but it's just, how did she know all these things that she shouldn't have been privy to? It's like, how you know these dogs are talking? Okay, sure, you might exaggerate for the little girl, like took some creative liberties, but it's like, like the details of like how you know there was a cave-in with Balto on his way back, or an avalanche. How you know about the grizzly bear? I don't know. We'll probably never know. But I doubt it's like that's super fantastical, the way like it's being described, unless there's like a well-known recorded point in 1925 of like a massive avalanche that happened back then maybe you can buy the other stuff, or they found some drowned grizzly bear nearby. I don't know. And looking up, most of the stuff is accurate, but Balto wasn't like the sole sled dog to do this this trek. He did a part of the last leg of the journey, and I hate to want to break it to it in case you did not know, but he pretty much kind of just took the credit. As ironic as that is with the whole Steele thing, he pretty much kind of just took the credit, even though there was other dogs heavily involved in this entire journey. But he still is partially, still deserves partial credit for this. It just, he somehow ended up taking the bulk of the credit. But anyway, that was Balto. Been sitting on that one for a couple of years now, so I'm glad I can talk about it now. So I will see you guys in a few minutes, because I got like 2 holiday specials that I really want to talk about pretty quick and get through them relatively fast. But leave a comment below. Let me know what you guys think of the animated film Balto, all things that you like and dislike about it. Do you have fond memories of it? It's not one of my favorite animated films. It's not something like I I'm not sure how many people revisit Balto. It's not a bad film, but it's just like it's not to the same. Or be hard pressed to find any 2D animated film up to the same standards as like The Lion King. But it's like it's kind of like an average 2D animated film. It's just fine, and it's like a pleasant watch with the family. Uh, but very few will probably put in their top five favorite animated films. Uh, I'm pretty sure there's some exist, but it's probably not that many. Anyway, I'll see you guys in a little bit. Take care, and I'll see you soon. Peace.